Hello and welcome to our call. We're very excited to have you here. We are just about to start. We're going to give it another 30 seconds as you all jump on.
Like that, 2 o'clock.
Hello, hello. Welcome to our call. I'm going to introduce Kelly in just one moment. If you're not feeling calm, you should be at the end of these next 20 minutes. So we hope that we will be able to take you there. And then just housekeeping, this will be available on YouTube afterwards. We'll send the link out afterwards. And we'll do questions and answers after 20 minutes. So after 20 minutes, we'll end. And then those of you who want to stay and ask questions about yourself and your own inner calm battles, please do stay. All right, I'm going to get us started. So hello, everyone. This is our daily strategies for working remote. We are all working remote. You may see my kids come in. I may see, if we were on a meeting, your dog on your lap. This is happening to all of us. And there are a lot of strange things going on, which is why we're doing these daily 20-minute videos. Today, we have the incredible Kelly Beischel with us. Kelly is one of our executive coaches at Silicon Valley Change, and she is a former nurse. So not only will she be speaking to you from the point of executive coaching and what she's seen with her own clients in Inner Calm, but also how important Inner Calm is for you and your body. And so here is Kelly. Please feel free to ask questions at any point. I will ask them of Kelly at the end, and we'll also be sharing a handout with you in the chat. So Kelly, we're delighted to have you here. Thank you.
Thanks, Senya. I think that Senya talked about, I think Senya said about the 20 minutes because she knows I can go on and on and on about this topic.
Not so, it's because we want people to be able to get in and out. Not so, not so.
I know, but this is a topic very near and dear to my heart because I do work with a lot of people who are anxious and they're going for high stakes and they want to make it and it makes them anxious. And so I work a lot with them to unspin that cycle of anxiety. So today we're gonna, the objectives. I want you to know the thrival strategies to calm your brain, to regain your mindset, mojo, and magic. I want you to feel calm and more in control after this presentation. And I would love for you to practice the strategies when you get off the call. So before we start, I would like to center us for a moment. So if you would close your eyes. If you are in the car, please do not close your eyes. But I would like you to take a few cleansing breaths, just in and out. All right. I'm hoping that enable you just to begin the centering process, to become here and now in the present. There isn't a past and there isn't a future for the next 20 minutes. So I also do a lot of, from head to toe, progressive muscle relaxation. And that is a good strategy to get started before you focus on something to get you here and in the middle and present. So I come to you today and kind of having a weird mindset. I've been pretty darn good about being calm about this, but there has been some incidents. And last night, a local hospital called my husband, who owns a construction company and commercial construction. He does a lot of hospital work. And they are asking if he would build shelves in a refrigerated truck that someone has loaned the hospital, multiple of them, in the event that they need it. So we are praying they do not need it, but we've been cocooned ourselves, and I've been doing lots of things to stay centered. And when I heard that, I went spiraling, and just the thoughts of the what ifs and what that's like and all those things. And I grabbed my toolkit back out and started using these strategies. And I have about 100 of them, but I'm going to focus on like 5 to 6 that really work for me, or evidence-based practice, and that they were quick. I was using them quick last night to get myself back into a place of peaceful compassion. So through this, I want to begin with encouraging you to be loving and compassionate toward yourself. If you are anxious, or if you're worried, or if you're uncertain about what's going to happen, or you're angry, right, or are going through a grief process, know that that means your brain is working just as it should. Your brain is working just as it should. And there is no shame for feelings, because feelings come, right? And they come from our thoughts, but they come. And then we can deal with them. Once we are aware of them, once we own them, then we can deal with them. I want to encourage you not to compare yourself to how others are doing. You know, you might have an up moment, somebody has a down moment. You have a down moment, somebody has an up moment. And we're all in this together. And it's all right if you go into anxiety, or go into sadness, or to grief. And I'm going to give you strategies to get you back out. All right. So anxiety is a vicious cycle. Anxious thoughts build on anxious thoughts. And one anxious thought, I think of it as fertilizer for the next anxious thought. Have you ever had a thought and then you go, but what if this? Oh my gosh, if that happens, then what if this? And all of a sudden you've got this big pyramid of anxiety, full of anxious thoughts. So they stack up and grow on themselves. And anxiety it's like playing a scary video or scary stories on loop, right? Like a movie reel in our mind. But an anxiety is like self-talk about what if in the future. One of the things one of my mindset coaches has taught me is to go back and say to yourself, but what if it's possible, whatever, what if it's possible you are not going to get the COVID-19? What if it's possible that you will be safe? What if it's possible that this is the best thing that's ever happened to us? That's shocking, but what if it's possible? And it helps to calm your mind. It helps to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system to kind of calm the nerves. The first strategy when you start feeling that anxiety is to name your emotion. And I should say the first time you feel uncomfortable emotions is to name it. Emotions or feelings are just vibrations in the body, right? We've put names on those vibrations, like anxiety or sadness or guilt, right? Or excitement. But those are just labels of that. So imagine when you have uncomfortable feelings, imagine back in kindergarten when you had the feelings chart and it said sad, happy, and had all the faces, or the emoticons on your phone. Think of that chart and like, where am I? What is my emotion? Because as Dan Siegel teaches us, if you name it, you can tame it. And just naming it decreases the intensity of the emotion. Isn't that awesome? I love that. And then it's difficult to feel in control. And one of the reasons we have so much anxiety is because we are feeling out of control, right? We have things in our control to wipe things down, or well, we don't have a lot of control on the what's the future going to look like, and who's going to get sick. And there are things we can do about that, but a lot of us are feeling very out of control, and that's where the anxiety hits. So there's some things that you can do about your emotion and then your thoughts. So allow for the emotion. Name it and allow it to go all the way through your body, and stick with it until you want to change it. When it no longer serves you, then say, now what? How do I want to feel instead? And then you could start thinking about, what kind of thoughts do I need to have that emotion? And so do not suppress it. We have tend to be in a society that anytime it's uncomfortable for us, we suppress it, we stuff it down, we buffer for it. And instead, go ahead and let yourself feel it and show loving kindness to yourself when you do. Another strategy is talking to your anxious self. We all have multiple selves. So just like you have a self, a part of you that wants to go watch Netflix right now and hang up this on the webinar, right? And there's another part that wants to get some more strategies, right? So we have two parts of ourselves. There might be a part of us that is anxious, right? But cognitively, we know that we're here right now, but that's a what if, right? So sit down and talk with your other self. Talk with that self that's anxious. I mean, we're talking to ourselves anyway, right? We've got those loops going. So go ahead and specifically talk to the part that's grabbing your attention and ask it what it needs. You can close your eyes and imagine this part. You can name this part. You can put clothes on this part. What kind of environment is this part in? Really tune in. And I did this the other day, and it was like the shriveled up little guy. It was not a gremlin, but what is his name? Dobby on Harry Potter. It was kind of like that and shriveled up in the corner. And then I was talked to him about what he needed. And then when he told me what he needed, I'm like, okay, we can have a plan around that. And I thanked him for showing up to tell me what he needed. And then we moved on. And then I got to work. It's an amazing strategy. So the other thing you can do is write a love letter to yourself. I got this idea from Elizabeth Gilbert, but it's the love letter part. But we do this in positive psychology. So when you're talking to the fear, you can journal it or you can talk, right? But a lot of times the journaling, that bringing that other sense in really helps. So ask yourself, what would the most loving person in my life say to me right now? I think that loving person would say, you are okay. I hear you. I see you. I love you. And express how you're feeling and allow that loving person in your journal, allow them, like it's almost like a dialogue, allow them to write back to you and say beautiful things of comfort to you, kind of like a mother would do if a child was frightened by nightmares. You know, come sit on my lap and let me tell you all the ways I'm going to take care of you. You can, there's mantras you can say to yourself. That's another strategy. So you could say, I see you, I hear you. In this moment, you are safe. If that happens, we will take care of it together. And find one of those mantras that just soothes you and in that you feel good saying, and allow that to bubble up. And then say that whenever you need to. I was feeling, whoops.
Is this a good time to share your handout with them because you were talking about the mantras, or do you want me to save that for a little later? Okay, I'll be sharing that in the chat box. Great.
Okay, super. All right. So, so the other day I was having a real guilt complex, and well, it's been coming and going because I am a nurse and I'm not on the front line. And I've taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nursing students at the university. And then now as clients, I help them pass their licensure exams to help them become licensed healthcare workers. And I was feeling a lot of guilt about putting them out there on the front line. And I finally went, oh, I need to name this. And I did. And in naming it, I felt a lot of relief. And then I worked with my coach and we talked about this feeling of guilt and embarrassment and just yuck. And then how did I want to feel? And I wanted to feel peaceful and passionate. And then I said, well, what thought do I need to have to feel peaceful passion? And I decided I was going to think instead, how can I bring the light? And therefore, all of a sudden, all of that started churning, and I started bringing things to the surface about all the ways I can help. And I've been reaching out to people about coaching and webinars and writing and things like that. So how can you bring the light? The other, and what Senya was talking about, is I have a handout for you, and it's about thriving, thrive with affirmations. It's about ways to talk to yourself that bring you from what I say surviving to thriving. And it recircuits our negative thoughts to positive thoughts about ourselves, and then we can take better forward action when we're having positive thoughts about ourselves than when we're having negative thoughts about ourselves. So you could change your circuitry of negative thoughts by using positive affirmations. The other is another strategy. So when your brain is talking about all the what ifs, what if, and you can't hardly bring it back, right? So here's a great strategy. You can name it, but then also to kind of get yourself centered, we do a thing called a point and name. So you point to whatever's near you and say it, like fan, window, lamp, bed. I'm in my bedroom. Nightstand, frame. And so when it calms your brain down so your prefrontal cortex can work. I apologize for my unstable internet. I am sitting right next to the Wi-Fi, so I'm not sure why it's doing that. So you can name 5 things that you see. Some people like to name things that they can hear, things that they can feel, and it just brings you back to reality in the moment rather than getting out into the what ifs. So bring it back to reality, into the present moment will help calm your brain. The other is breath work. So when we do breathing exercises, it's kind of the cornerstone of work with anxiety. And deep breaths increase our oxygenation, and they stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system into a state of calmness. And it's our sympathetic nervous system that's getting chaotic, and it's why we're going into fight or flight. And so the parasympathetic nervous system will kick in when you do breathing exercises. So types of breathing exercises, you can do the box breathing. That's in for 4 breaths, hold for 4 breaths, out for 4 breaths, hold for 4 breaths. You can do, there's 7 and 11. I think that's one of the ones that I heard the other day. In for 7, out for 11. You typically want to have your out breath, your exhale be a little longer than your inhale, because it blows off all that CO2 that also we accumulate from holding our breath when we're anxious. The last one I'm going to talk about is cultivating a gratitude practice. So, and in this time, if you're like me, you might be getting a little bit triggered when you do gratitude, or you're thankful, or you're seeing silver linings, because you might feel kind of awkward that, okay, here's this beautiful thing that's happening, but what about the people who are dying, or what about the frontline workers, but come back to the idea that worrying is not helping them. Worry does not help the people on the front lines. But if we can break out of that worry and think about the gratitude and the things that are beautiful in our lives right now, then we bring about our own calmness. And from that calmness, then we can take forward action. And it elevates the energy, I think, in the universe when we're cultivating a gratitude practice. So our family of 5, one's a baby, so 4 of us all say one thing that we're grateful for at dinner, and then at night, my husband and I have been doing 3 gratitudes, and this is actually evidence-based practice. 3 gratitudes every night, and we ping pong it. Like I'll say one, he says one, I say one, he says one. And we'll take walks and we'll just ping pong gratitude the whole time, rather than talking about the coronavirus. Again, it's a great way to calm your mind. It increases resilience, it decreases depression, you have longer lasting happiness, and it increases vitality. Gratitude is way worth the effort. So remember that anxiety piles up on anxiety, and it's like a never-ending movie reel, right, of what ifs. So some of the things to do is to have loving compassion for yourself and for that anxious part, to talk to your anxious part and to ask your anxious part what it needs. It'll tell you. Just be silent and it'll tell you. And then you want to name your emotion. Name the vibration you're feeling in your body. The other strategy is to journal a love letter. And what would the most loving person say to you right now? Another is bring yourself back to reality by naming things you see, feel, and hear. And then doing breath work and gratitude work. You don't have to do all of those at the same time. But if you practice now, when you're anxious, you will have the ability then to pull one of those out of your toolkit so that you can thrive during this time in our lives. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Sure.
This concludes the formal part, so if you're going to hop off, please feel free to. And if not, here are 2 questions that are already coming our way. People are saying, thank you, Kelly, this is wonderful. Okay, so we're starting with questions. Thank you again, Kelly, for summarizing at the end also, just that whole list of options. We have a pretty data-centered group here, so we have a lot of engineers and people from technology. And here's a question that's in my head as how do I test these? So how do I know if I'm a person for breathing is going to work? How do I know if I'm a mantras person? How will I know? Is there sort of rather than just trying and seeing, because I might try 2 at the same time. I might try a mantra and breathing, but how do I actually test it and figure out what mine is so I can use it more reliably as a go-to calming strategy?
Thank you so much, because that was actually in my notes and I forgot to say it. So practicing these strategies before you need them is best, right? So that you know which works for you. So before you get started, think of a scale of 1 to 10. Where is your anxiety or your sadness or whatever the emotion you're having? And then do the activity and then rate yourself again. So on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, whichever, then, it should be the same scale, pre and post. And then see.
That'd be great.
The researcher in me wants to make sure you know that.
That's great. The pre-scale is 1 to 5. The ending scale is 1 to 10. That'd be great.
and then wherever you are there, you'll know which one is is your go-to. And mine changes all the time, whether it's the middle of the night or during the day.
What are 1 or 2 of your go-tos?
The breathing is a big go-to, especially at night when I'm having some insomnia. The point and name is my super go-to, and gratitude is what I do every day, whether I'm in quarantine or not. It's just something that I've learned helps keep me above the level of depression. So it's fantastic.
And when you point a name, what do you point a name? Literally the things in the room?
Anything that's around you. So if I'm outside and I'm having some thoughts bubbling up, and it's not on a way to suppress, but it's a way to then calm my brain so I can think about, like kind of thoughts about taking action. So I might just look at things and say, so if let's say I'm at home walking and I'll say bridge, river, car, sign, building. And as I'm saying it, no kidding, I feel my shoulders drop, drop, drop.
Yeah, it's so neat. I've heard it about labeling our emotions, but I actually haven't heard it about things, just labeling things and having that same
Mhm.
emotional calmness and reaction.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
at this point, we ask people whether they have questions to type them in, and also what is a takeaway that you have from today's talk with Kelly? What is something you are going to try or to do differently? So let us know in the comments, either that or your questions, and we'll take all of those. And while we're doing it, while people are typing in, 2 observations. Kelly, it seemed like a lot of your suggestions had to do with a couple of concepts. One is concrete, just making things concrete, like naming it or the mantra. And then a few other times, it really seemed like part of this inner calmness had to do with thinking about yourself like a child. You mentioned a few times, like what makes you feel safe, or what, or even thinking back. So there are a few things that resonated with
Mhm.
how am I as a child? Just a couple of observations on the
Yeah.
patterns that I observed.
Yeah. So we all have that inner child, right? That is, sometimes it screams out like a toddler, and other times it's more of a grown up. But yeah, I think because I think about the relationship, let's say, of a mother or a grandmother, and just accepting and loving on that child who's innocent. And I think that inner self who's anxious is very innocent and just wants to feel better. And that's that loving compassion toward ourselves.
Bridge, river, water. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Specifics.
Yeah. And then the reality, bringing it back into what is now, because we don't have control over what already happened, and we don't have a lot of world control, right? But we have what's in front of us control. And
Yeah.
so getting it back to that is helpful to calm ourselves so that we can think next strategies.
I'm going to read off a question and then a few of the comments of what people are taking away. The question is, what if I'm going to start a new job with a new company, and I'm trying to figure out how to build trust with new coworkers in this work from home environment? So new thoughts keep popping up about planning. How do I balance planning versus naming things to reduce anxiety? How should this person balance those thoughts about, look, I need to plan, but also, hey, I
Mhm.
can handle it.
Mm. So, okay, so the naming things will help calm your thoughts down, because a lot of times our thoughts are racing, right? And so then we're like bypassing that prefrontal cortex, the executive functioning, right, to tell us what's in our plan. Instead, the limbic system's working. So when you're naming things, so you're just calming your thoughts so that you can say to yourself, okay, what is the next step I need to take? How do I plan my day? Or what is the very next step I need to take? And then you'll have the space to plan. But if your thoughts are racing, you don't have the bandwidth to do your planning.
So kind of be
So
attentive to your thoughts and then keep doing the planning that you would naturally do anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I meet with my clients, we always do a centering to get started, and then they go, "Whew, I didn't know I was so uptight." So and then it kind of opens our critical thinking.
I was just thinking, as you were saying that naming thing is really interesting, because even in a work from home where you're on video with someone, you can name what everyone is experiencing. Like, my dog just came in. When you name it, people are aware of that. And rather than just saying, oh, that's cute, but can I comment or not? My dog just walked in, or I see it's raining where you are, it's pouring where I am too. Or just like naming things puts us all in the same world, physical
It
world.
does. Yeah. Yeah. And it brings our own power back rather than, as if it's not happening.
Right. This dog. You guys see this dog? What? This dog? Okay, we
Right.
are rounding this out. I'm going to read a few comments, and then we're closing it out. So here are some of the things that people are going to try. As you know, I'm going to try naming bridge and tree, so I'm just giving you mine first. And here's some people are saying, thank you, this is super. I'm going to try gratitude ping-ponging at dinner, someone says. And another person says, I'm going to try the 7 in and 11 out. Actually, this person says the box breathing causes them more anxiety during that hold your breath part. So actually, during the call, the person tried 7-Eleven and it was better. So there you go.
That's awesome. Right. And if you want more energy, you do. So it's kind of like the opposite. Like if you're fading out. Yeah.
Oh, how interesting. Before everybody goes, on Friday, we have Kelly back. Kelly, what's our topic on Friday?
Oh, it's about connecting for deeper learning, connecting remotely for deeper learning. So I was a university professor, and that's what my PhD is in. So it's so I'm really excited to talk to you about strategies for like when you're presenting or teaching for deeper learning.
How do you connect so people learn deeply? We are here every day at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific for 20 minutes with 10 minutes of Q&A after. We're delighted to see you and see you again next time. All the best. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you soon.